Hi, Beno. It's always a joy to talk to you. What a pleasure.
Hello, sir. Right from the time that I've met you, I've always taken your professionalism, your way of talking as certain factors which should guide me in my day-to-day life. So thank you very much for that, sir. And it's lovely talking to you and to connect with you. And I'm sure today's discussion is going to be an enlightening one. Thank you very much, sir, for interviewing me today.
Thank you, Benny. Beno, you've always been very liberal and generous in your compliments towards me, but today it's not about me, it's all about you. My first introductory conversational point with you would be this. From a little flower convent girl to a big blossoming Indian Foreign Service officer, how exactly did the seed get planted that, for you, it was civil services?
So right from my school days, I always had a passion to talk. I used to give lot of oratorical. Used to give lot of speeches, and I used to participate in lot of oratorical competitions. Thanks to my school, Little Flower Convent, at this juncture, my teachers and the principals, and they gave me enormous number of opportunities where I was able to go out, speak, and all that. So that instilled a great sense of confidence in me. And right from my childhood, I was a very vocal and a person who was very articulate in my in whatever I used to think.
But I'm glad, Dave, what you mentioned about being vocal and being articulate and being able to do so. But see, the seed being planted that, look, I want to do something, and seeing civil services as an avenue of being able to convert that vision into an actual reality of action. But still, you need to prepare. I mean, both of us have, been through. I mean, when I got into the civil services, there was no prelims. In fact, we were the first batch of prelims. So there was, there was no one to tell us what to do. But how did you prepare? How did, once the seed is planted that, look, at civil services where I want to head and I want to go, very briefly, maybe 6 or 7 strategic points on how did you prepare?
When people tell me you got to read these many books, I never used to be scared. I always, referred back to the previous year question papers again and again and again. So I had a confidence that, and I also had a very strong um, interest in reading CBSE books. I think that helped me a lot. Even today, I feel after seeing the question paper, 60 to 70% of your answers could be managed correctly with the proper reading and repeated reading of NCRT books. I feel always reading 10 books is important, but at the same time, reading a book 10 times gives you a different. Each time you read a book, you get a different sense of interpretation, is what I feel. Secondly, I feel consistent preparation. I used to not have my phones in my hand when I used to prepare. I used to study for 3-4 hours only, unlike many people who claim that they feel comfortable by way of studying or preparing or writing or whatever for 10 to 12 hours, which I was not as a person comfortable with. But sir, these 3 to 4 hours I used to study very, very religiously, not accessing my phones or not accessing anything else or not thinking about anything else. Undiverted attention was given to what I was learning. Thirdly, I used to always give a lot of importance to reinforcement, because you got to study so many things, you got to digest, and after all, we are all human beings who are required to devote our attention to so many other aspects in our lives. So I think it is not humanly possible to learn each and everything, every phenomenon on this earth, and above the sun and below the sun and above the earth. So I feel what I did was, from Monday to Friday, I used to study, and Saturday, Sunday, I used to revise and repeat and recall, and used to pay attention to each and every detail that I had to, based on the question papers, the nature of question papers. Number 4, I always read I always refer to question papers right from 1990s. Though people said that the syllabus had changed, though people, I kept hearing that the subjects were the same. I was sure that one thing could not be changing so much, which is the information is the same whenever whether you read in 2020 or 2000 or 2200. The freedom struggle, probably the way of interpreting the struggle could be different, could be changing, or could be evolving over time, but the substance and the matter is the same. It continues to be the same for centuries. So I used to have a very genuine belief in repeating and recalling and referring back to question papers. um, Next thing is that I religiously used to listen to All India Radio. I don't remember spending time with newspapers more than 45 minutes, because I used to exactly somebody that I had to remember at this time. He just, told me, whatever you're learning, Beno, at least try to learn 10 things about it, whatever it is. And when you're learning those 10 things, you should be able to learn the 10 things which will enable you to be able to manage the questions, or give the information or structure your answers. So he said that, if you think from this aspect or perspective, then I
Mm.
think there won't be any issues. You will be able to pick up the right information. And one more thing, I never thought that I should sit back and devote my entire day to it and prepare. I rather felt that one would be able to acquire more exposure and experience by just going outside, learning a lot, and also preparing for civil services. I think all these aspects put together would assist me well in acquiring the ability to manage all the three levels of the examination. So,
Yeah.
this is how I was preparing, sir.
Oh, I think you have given so much, what should I say, masala to all the people who want to get into the service, right from, I remember, was it Bruce Lee or something? He said, I'm not afraid of fighting with somebody who's got 10,000 moves, but I'm afraid of somebody who knows one move, but has practiced it 10,000 times. So that was number one, mantra number one. Number two, you said about consistency. Third thing, I think very critically, you said that it was not just, it was quality over quantity. Whatever 4 hours of study or 5 hours of study, but it was focused qualitative study. And then, of course, your fact of reinforcement, recalling, and revising. And then almost you sounded like a Shiv Khera when you said that, it was that, he says champions don't do the same thing, they do it differently. It's not that they do different things, they just do it differently. I think that's all has been combined into you. So now, from just this little girl in Chennai, preparing with all these strategies and the results come out, and then just as I said, from someone, a very small someone in Chennai, you suddenly find yourself catapulted to being a role model. The first 100% visually challenged person to get into the civil services. Then, of course, how did this all sink in?
When I got into service, when my friend, who's currently posted in Sikkim, he called me saying that, hey, you got 343rd rank. So I was so happy. I was so, I feel I'm in the hindsight, I feel I was so balanced. I just switched. I was in the bank in Tiruvallur. Tiruvallur. There is a district called Tiruvallur in Chennai,
Yes.
closer to Chennai, 60 kilometers away. And that district has this agri bank. So I was during that time working as a probationary officer
Okay.
with the bank, and I was working in the bank. I was with the system. Then I got this call. So I cut the call. I said thanks, Barani, for informing me, and then I gradually packed my bag and went to my manager and said, sir, my results had come. Can I please make a move for today? I'll come tomorrow on time.
Okay.
Because today I feel that I should go and see my father and my mother. can I leave, sir? It was already 4:45 in the evening. So he said, what is this question? You first leave. You better leave from here. And then I called the auto man, who was very happy. Um, I still feel the happiness of the auto man was much more than, many others. So because he was just owing me for the last, 6 months prior to the publication of the results. But then I feel that genuine sense of happiness. And then I got into the train. I went home, and my father was waiting at the station. He just lifted me up. And when I went home, there was media outside, there were people outside. They were my parents. I mean, my mother was there, and all my relatives were there. At the back of my mind, I was constantly thinking that, okay, this. I mean, I was not frankly too much surprised having cleared the exam, but then later I feel whatever you have done was not, the end. And you should never get complacent with this. And you have a much more bigger role. And you should constantly strive or endeavor to progress in terms of knowledge, in terms of your ability, in terms of your perceptions, in terms of speaking, in terms of writing, and in terms of mingling, in terms of making, in terms of, whatever exists. So I feel I felt a greater sense of responsibility, while also very happy and delighted to
I think it
live that
happens with all of us,
with.
after the
Yeah.
initial joy that you feel. And that auto man, it reminds me of that very famous saying that happiness shared is happiness doubled. So it's been 10 years now, a decade. Decade is a long time. And from Paris to learning about uh, training in French, and then being honored by the president, the president of India, and then back to Delhi, and now in Malaysia. Tell me, now just some fun moments or some challenging moments. Maybe a few of your most memorable moments in this decade.
I feel every day is a challenge, and every day is also a happy, occasion. So in this entire frame of things, I genuinely, when I was honored, when I had the privilege of receiving the First Ladies Award from the Honorable President of India in 2018, I
Yes.
think was the most joyful moment that I can ever think of at this juncture. And the challenging moment, if you will ask me, it's like, you go out and you got to represent your country. And in its true and rich sense, India is such a rich country, such a diverse country. So I think each and every day is an opportunity and a challenge. But I think with the help and guidance of the seniors, I think I'm able to learn a lot. I'm able to mold myself.
Okay, moving on to technology. I mean, I know today everything is available in your hand, and technology has been such a big enabler. But how do you think technology can help those who have, some kind of genuine disability to prepare for success? And let's start with the education system itself, because you mentioned about how you talked to the Honorable CM, and then a government order was issued. And I remember, building Ability Foundation had a very large role in ensuring that all these things were amended.
Sir, I am what I am today thanks to technology. Because technology has really transformed what not just uh, the ability landscape, but also it has also expanded the new vistas of performance, of new vistas of working, new vistas of progress. So I think that way technology has really, really enhanced the people's skills, etc. So definitely, and it applies more so for people with various challenges. And I feel right from education, I think nowadays we have more and more e-libraries coming, more and more e-books coming. So I think it's quite easier. I won't say it is easy completely, but then I think it is still happening, and it's still in progress. The work is in progress, and people are able to access books online and read and everything. Especially, I feel the CBSE books which are required for civil services preparation, and other allied books which are considered to be inevitable for preparation of civil services. I'm sure, sir, there are some books like that. And
Mhm.
also magazines which are published on monthly basis. I think if such things could be brought out in Braille, um, I
Okay.
think
Mm.
that is a big thing. For example, sir, when I was under secretary in Ministry of External Affairs, under the guidance of our seniors, we were able to bring out a ministry's annual report in Braille. So
Okay.
yeah. So I think things like that, would really help, because having any book in Braille, sir, especially I got two big books printed in Braille. One is Polity by Lakshmi Kant, and
Wonderful.
Horizons of Public Administration by Mohit Bhattacharya. Because,
Mhm.
sir, more than the other books, I felt that the books relating to polity and public administration should be available in Braille for my deeper understanding of the subject. So I felt reading it by myself would help me better. And I think that was very helpful in the exam also, because I was much more confident in those subjects. And hence, with the help of my father and an organization called Worth Trust, we were able to convert the books, the entire book into Braille. So even now the books are available and people can go and access. And I feel, sir, whatever online resources are also available, I feel more than any of them, a book in itself is a palace. It's a palace of knowledge.
Mm.
We used to say palace had a lot of gold and this and that. I think books are living palaces amidst us, which have lot more than gold, lot more precious stuff than gold. So I feel converting books into accessible formats, be it braille or be it audio or be it video, I think that would be a very good suggestion, very good step in the right direction. And secondly, yes, sir, technology is helping me to a greater extent. I'm able to use my phone without difficulty. I'm able to use my computer without difficulty with the help of software called Job Access with Speech. So I feel technology, besides transforming people's lives, has also opened opportunities or avenues by through which I think we are gifted to be able to access, even access and explore new areas. So I think always a big thanks to technology.
Now, Beno, the thing is that you are a much sought after person to address the next gen in terms of aspiration. That you should aspire big. You should have a vision to succeed. Do you think there's a role of coaching for civil services or anything? Does that have a role really, coaching, or what is your view on that?
I feel, sir, civil services examination is just not an examination in itself. It's a process. It's a process of preparing you not just for appearing in the examination, not just for writing answers suitably in the prelims and the mains and presenting the answers in the personality test. I feel civil services examination is much more preparing you as a person. So,
Okay.
if you ask me very frankly, you know, coaching really plays a big role. However, I think coaching I would attribute 10% of your preparation, or 10% of your the role of coaching, we can give attribute 10% to it. I think the rest 90% should come from within, because whatever coaching you take, how much ever the lecturer or the faculty or the teacher or the coach attempts to teach you, I think finally it is you, and within you and by you the exam gets attended by, and you are the person who is actually shaping your destiny and your answers and your whatever, which needs to be clearing the which is required to be clearing the examination. So I think beyond the coaching, I think what is you is very important. Of course, when there is so much to study, and when there's a lot of stress, and when there's a lot of anxiety, when there are a lot of questions, when there are when you feel that there's a lot more to cover than what you're actually doing, I think that's where coaching plays a very significant role.
Beno, you're really a perfect example of a role model, because I remember Raveendran Thakurji had said that it's all about 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. I think that's what you're saying. The inspirational part can be so, but you said inspiration is important, because getting inspired and then doing the 90% perspiration at least keeps you on the right track. Now, I'll bring you on to something which has been disturbing all of us. Right now there's been the news is flooding the news media on a lot of false portrayal of disability. So, what are your views on this?
If so-called a non a so-called normal person, let me use the word normal person, so-called, by the way, if he doesn't do something, that is still perceived as laziness or inefficiency or whatever for that matter. But a person with any form of disability, if he is not able to do something, that is always considered as inefficiency or ineffectiveness or incapability. To shatter this phenomenon, I think differently able people, both in the past and current and also in the future, always will aspire to constantly prove themselves in whatever ecosystem and environment they are in. So I think a workforce with diversity would also contribute immensely in the nation building of the country.
I think you very well put it that it's more about integrity and the honesty and integrity that is really more important. Now, come on, some little personal stuff. What are you've 10 years down the line and you've got still, you're a 1990 born, 2014, you've gotten young in the service, a long way to go, miles to go before you sleep, miles to go before you sleep. What are some of your personal goals now? Personal goals, and then I'll talk about official goals. Briefly, what are your personal goals? Or if you'd like to club it, personal and official goals.
So at the moment, my first goal is my immediate goal, if I would rather put it that way, is to learn, gain experience, learn even minutest of the minute things, seniors at all levels, and secondly, I think immediate goal would be writing a book. I want to really kickstart that journey, writing a book, and I think it is all evolving gradually. At the moment, I always believe in immediacy as well, as much as I believe in the long term of things, long term aspirations and whatever. So I always feel at the moment this is what is my goal. And second, my children are growing up and my husband is there, and my parents getting older, my father-in-law is getting older. So that ways I just want to look after all three of them very well, and I just want to ensure that it is all taken forward. My husband is there, who is a big support and
Yes. Mm.
at all levels. So thanks to him, and my children, because of whom I'm learning a lot. Their questions and everything. One son is 6 years, the other one is 4 years. One is called Kristen Bevis, one is called Ansel Levis. So
Yes.
they are my big teachers at the moment. I'm able to learn a lot.
Fabulous. So that was not just the Beno Zephine, the Indian Foreign Service officer with a decade of brilliant service. That was also the daughter speaking. That was also the daughter-in-law speaking. That was the mother speaking, the wife speaking. All many roles. One of my last thoughts is always this: that you've been a role model in many ways. What would your message be to, let's say, those who have any kind of genuine disability issues?
Sir, be it any person in any kind of situation, um, what I always would like to say is that how many ever doors might close in front of you, still there is one, there
Mhm.
will be, and there should be, and there will be one door which is always waiting for your tap. We're all human beings, so we all have our own sensitivities. We all have our own emotions. We all have our own obstacles and challenges to deal with. But at the same time, I think just just thinking about those obstacles and harping on them, I don't think that would help us in the long run. There was one Google Doodle, containing my quote where I said, "We are too precious to let disappointments enter our minds." If you have seen, even in the past, in history, and today, and tomorrow, everywhere, what time has taught is that a strong mind would be able to conquer anything and everything. Which means, I think here the message would be to all my friends, that yes, it's hard, it's difficult. Yes, life is not just for you, for everyone else life is difficult. And I would slightly like to look at disability in a different sense. I think disability, the ambit of disability always gets defined or limited by physical disability. But I think every one of us are unique. We are all unique in the sense that we have our own strengths and weaknesses. So it's not just that a physically disabled person alone is a disabled person. So in that backdrop, I would like to say that we have our own strengths and weaknesses, and the world is still good. People are still good.
Yeah.
Good people still exist. And I think people who can understand still exist. It's just that what requires is a bit more of outreach and reaching out to people and putting forward your views.
Beno, it's always been a joy to speak with you. And as you've summed up very clearly, that physical disability is actually no disability. The greater disability would be not to have a mind to be able to overcome. So, I mean, that's the more stronger disability. And when you mentioned about the fact that many doors will close, and but there's always a door waiting to be opened, I'm reminded of that biblical picture that behold, I stand at the door and knock, and if you let me in. So I think if you allow good thoughts, a good mental perspective, an open mind, and strong ideas to keep coming into your mind, you'll always succeed. Beno, thank you very much. Thank you for speaking to us. It's always a joy. May you and your family and everybody else take care of your health, and all the best as you serve the nation proud in Malaysia. Wanakam.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a great pleasure talking to you
Yeah.
and to answer your questions, which were in themselves very, very thought provoking. And I think, though I've answered some of your questions, I think they'll keep revolving in my mind for days to come. And I think I need to more profound answers to some of your questions. Thank you very much, sir. It has been a delight to
Have
to
a
talk to
wonderful
you.
stay.
Thanks
Have a
for
wonderful
coming.
stay. Do the nation proud. as you've done the state proud, do the nation proud, Malaysia. Good night and vanakkam.
Thank you, sir.